Okay, we've got about 1 minute left. We cannot start early, but we can start a little late, so we're going to wind it all the way down to 6 o'clock. We thank everyone for being here tonight. I have 6 o'clock, and we did now as well. Good evening, everyone. It's November the 4th. We welcome you to the Denison City Council meeting, home of one of the 8 finalists of the Great American Main Street Awards, and we're so proud of that. So I'll call the meeting to order, and we are happy to have Pastor Justin Miller from Waples Memorial United Methodist Church, in my church, and we're asking you to give us our invocation, please, sir.
Let us go to God in prayer. Most loving God, we thank you for this city and for the people who have been chosen to serve the people of this city. We thank you for all the great things that are happening in our city and pray that great things will continue to happen to every citizen of Denison. As we come together to serve, God, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and especially for those in this assembled council. I pray that you will give them the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues in our time, and a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, and a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, and confidence in what is good and fitting, and the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. So I pray for their task set before them today, and I pray that you give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work here in the city of Denison, Texas. And we ask all this as your sons and daughters in Christ. Amen.
Amen. And we're honored tonight to have the Girl Scout Troop 403 present our colors and actually doing our Pledge of Allegiance. So ladies, if y'all would like to come forward, we're going to welcome Bella Hutchison, Arvin Stoddard, Vidya Stoddard, and Madeline Knox. So ladies, if you'd come forward.
Audience, please remove all non-religious headwear and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, you may be seated. Thank you, ladies, for helping us this evening. And it's an honor tonight to help recognize Municipal Court Week with a proclamation to our great judge and staff and marshal. So if y'all could please meet me at the podium. We're so glad to have a fantastic part of our city with us tonight. The municipal court handles so many safeguards in criminal cases for all defendants, including indigent defendants, and supports the Denison Municipal Court in complying with such legal requirements. Now, therefore, I, Robert Crawley, Mayor of Denison, and on behalf of the entire City Council, extend appreciation to our Denison municipal judges, prosecutor, city marshals, and court personnel for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to our community by proclaiming the week of November the 4th through the 8th to be Municipal Court Week. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and have caused to be affixed the seal of the City of Denison on this 4th day of November, 2024. We thank you all so much. Say something?
Privilege for all of us to serve, and fortunate and blessed to have the staff that we do to serve the municipal court, the citizens of Denison.
Thank you all for being here, and you have one of the more difficult jobs in our city many times, and we appreciate the way you treat our citizens, and we know you do your very best to be fair and impartial, and we thank you so much. Give a hand. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Citizens may speak on action items listed on the agenda. A request to speak card should be completed and returned to the city clerk upon arrival and prior to the council reaching the public comment section on this agenda. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes, unless otherwise required by law. Comments relating to public hearings listed below will be heard in the specific hearing starts. Do we have any cards? No cards tonight. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 4, and that is our consent agenda. And I would like to see if there is a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Adams, a second by Councilman Thomas. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On number 5, we'll have no action tonight. We have some, we'll have to wait until early next year based on a homestead issue we had. And so we go to item number 6, the items for individual consideration. Item 6A, Ms. Fanchon Stearns, if you could come up and tell us about the closeout change for the Waterloo Lake sewer improvements.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to present this tonight. So, this is just going to be...
rain? Is that rain on that street? I'm just kidding.
This item will close out our Waterloo Lake, the Waterloo Lake Sewer Improvements Project, the contract. So a little bit about it at the start. Oh, pause that, Chris, I'm sorry. The project included replacement of approximately 7,700 linear feet of 8 and 12-inch sewer main with approximately 9,410 feet of 12-inch, 18-inch, and 24-inch sewer pipe. The project began east of Waterloo Lake and ended near Viking Street and Highway 75, just northwest of Crawford and Lillis. The project also included replacement of about 1,425 linear feet of lateral sewer lines, some parking lot and drainage improvements at Waterloo Lake Park, storm drain installation, and abandonment of existing manholes and pipe. The goal of the project was to improve sewer service for existing customers and also increase capacity there for future development at Highway 75, that frontage there. It's just a physically long project, so in our video we're just going to hit some of the fun like visual elements, so we're not just staring at trees.
with staring at trees.
So we'll start at what's actually the bottom of the project, just off of Waterloo Drive. You can see materials being staged and work starting at the 35-foot deep manhole at the small lookout point there at the parking lot at the lake. And then we're also going to go over to the parking lot of the lake and kind of show you, this is during work, right? So lots of materials, lots of trucks. And then you can see where the sewer line kind of cut through the path there right along that fishing pond. So this is aerial crossing number 1, kind of in a similar spot to where we started before. This is after, obviously, so this is what it looks like right now. This is that same lookout point now, completely paved, lots of improvements there. And we'll turn around and actually look at the parking lot for the lake now. There were a lot of improvements here, so obviously it's all concrete. A concrete boat ramp was also added and a concrete pad for the kayak station. Some improvements were also made to that little concrete walking path. We went right in the middle of the parking lot and through the path, so we had to go back and make that a little bit better. So from here, you can kind of see this is coming back. There were 2 other aerial crossings in the park that we did, and so we had the opportunity to make some improvements at those drainage channels as well. And also the drainage channel there adjacent to that concrete walking path. One of the other big, cool, visually exciting spots is here at Crawford and Lillis, where improvements were made to this. It's basically a creek drainage channel. So the gabion baskets, these are rock gabion baskets that were installed. They will help protect the sewer line itself from erosion, but it's also a benefit to those property owners that are there. So the folks that are on Lillis, on Crawford, and actually all the way back to Kirby, those gabion baskets went back. And then that rock riprap that's in the bottom of the creek also. The contractor was also able to make pavement and marking improvements there at the intersection. So this change order amends the price of the contract as the work actually came in under budget. There was a change order number 1 that was approved in August 2023. It added a little bit more work to the contractor's contract. This change order returns about $641,000 from that amended price back to the city. Feedback from the neighborhood and from the larger community has been super positive. We've gotten a ton of compliments on this. We had a really good contractor, SYB Contracting out of Irving, did the work for us, and we're very pleased with how it turned out. Parks and Recreation staff was super helpful, super patient with us as we worked through the project. So we super appreciate them, and we appreciate your time and attention, and I'm present for questions.
Vincent, what was the total value of the project before the negative adjustment?
It was, let me see if I have that total. The total was $13,428,000.
So you were able to save about 5%? Well done.
Yeah,
Would you like to run for public office next?
It was a group effort. It was a team effort.
As you guys look forward, my wife has expressed concerns in the pre-production about the safety of some of the pathways that go through the woods around Waterloo, and it was contemporaneous to a couple of assault allegations, I think, that came out in the woods about that same time. There were folks who were not behaving quite so regularly as they crossed through the woods there. On campuses around the state, we have little boxes that allow for an immediate call out to a police department, and their intervals are maybe every 100 yards. So she has suggested that perhaps we look into what that would cost to make it more female friendly through the woods as far as for solo walkers, joggers, etc.
Absolutely.
Because this is beautiful. You guys did an amazing job.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for making Waterloo a more attractive space.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion from council?
Mayor, I would move to approve the negative closeout change order for the Waterloo Lake Sewer Improvement Project and authorize the interim city manager to execute all related documents.
Second.
It's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Adams and a second by Councilman Thorne. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Go to item 6B, and this is Ms. Amanda Parsons, and talk about the 2024 mowing and maintenance program. Welcome. Nice to have you tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today to discuss our existing mowing plan and our future proposed plan. Unfortunately, our proposed plan is not to give back money, but nonetheless, in fiscal year 2024, the city entered into 2 mowing contracts for the Parks and Recreation Department for mowing. One of those mowing contracts is for approximately 220 acres to include areas such as parks, cemeteries, and various other city-managed and owned properties. That contract is just under $340,000. Our secondary contract, or second contract, is for approximately 87 acres, which would be for our right-of-ways, which would be things like medians, overpasses, things of that nature. That contract is just over $100,000. Both of those contracts are due to expire before the end of the calendar year 2024. The fiscal year 2025 allocated funds for these areas are budgeted at $345,000. So if we continue to move along the same course as we currently have now in contracting, Parks and Recreation are going to be deficient in the approximate $95,000 range. Due to budget constraints and challenges, we are proposing to utilize approximately 78% of those funds that currently are allocated, which would be about $270,000. You'll see a cost breakdown on the screen. What we are proposing is to hire our own maintenance crew and purchase the needed equipment for that crew so that we can bring that service back in-house. You'll see on the cost breakdown what that looks like a little bit closer would be to hire 4 full-time employees, purchase 4 mowers, 3 weed eaters, acquire a lease for an extra vehicle, and then of course the associated cost to make that mowing program successful, things like fuel, uniforms, maintenance supplies as needed, things of that nature. You'll see at the bottom there are 2 line items for contractor invoices. Because these contracts still currently exist and are yet to expire, we are still currently receiving service. So you'll see a line item of invoicing that we've already billed out and what we anticipate to continue through the end of those contracts. Our ultimate goal is to bring back mowing in-house. We want to do this because we feel that we will be able to provide more enhanced level of service and product, and we will be able to provide for better quality control measures. But we also have to be realistic to what that looks like in order for success. We don't want to overload our team too quickly. So because of that, you'll see a cost savings down at the bottom of the breakdown. In our proposal, we propose to utilize that cost savings, which would be the remaining 22%, or approximately $77,000, to continue contracting for our right-of-ways. That is it. I appreciate your time. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
I may have missed while I was taking notes, the right-of-way is something that you're going to forego taking on yourself until a later date.
Correct, yeah. So we did speak with staff so that we could gain that buy-in, figure out what it may take for our existing team to be able to do that in addition to the 4 proposed full-time employees. And at this time, we think taking back both the 220 acres for parks, cemeteries, and those other areas, in addition to the right-of-ways, will be too much for us to provide success for the program. So we want to go ahead and start with 1, and then hopefully in subsequent years be able to take it all back.
And those 4 employees, they have additional bandwidth, so if we take on additional park spaces that are non-right-of-way driven, they have the capacity to carry more of that before you need to hire again?
Well, so these 4 that we are going to hire will basically be our mowing crew moving forward, supplemental with our existing staff. So what we're proposing is that we bring that back in-house for a portion of those, see how that goes for the year to see if we need to supplement further in order to make it successful to bring back the right-of-ways in-house as well.
Thank you.
Other comments,
So
questions?
that staff would be 4 new hires or 4 existing?
It would be 4 new.
But that's within your budget that we approved a couple of weeks ago and so is it cost neutral or?
Yes, so we were budgeted for $345,000 for mowing line item. We previously in fiscal years utilized that mowing line item through a contractor. We're proposing that 77% of that be utilized to fund 4 new positions, all inclusive as far as insurance and those type of requirements, in addition to uniforms and things like that for 4 new hires, in addition to our existing crew.
So at the end of this fiscal year, the right-of-way mowing would go back out for bid? Is that,
We do have an option for renewal, so what our proposal will be to move forward with the existing contractor at a reduced figure for that renewal. Of course, they could go with it or they could not, so if they don't, of course, we would then be going back out to bid.
they're losing a lot of business, us taking it back in, so I think they would change their mind about some of it.
Ultimately, this gives us a little bit more control of what gets done when. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So is the main objective to increase the quality of service?
It is, yes.
Not so much about saving.
Yeah, so originally, of course, I wasn't here when we went out, but there have been multiple years of contracting out for mowing. And we've changed contractors multiple times. We've gotten to a point now where originally the goal was that we had money to support a more frequent mow, but with inflation costs and budgets not increasing to meet those costs, those frequencies are going down. So we are picking up a portion of that already in order to meet that expectation and standard. So by bringing it back in-house, we have the ability to adjust with changing priorities and be more timely to needed situations. In addition to that, the staff will be more invested in the product and the output.
Now, working at the college, we had outsourced our grounds crew probably 5 years or so. And the grounds crew we had they did a great job, but it got to a point to where it was hard to maintain them with our organization just because, salaries, and then a lot of times whenever you have the outsourced individuals, you really don't know who you're getting on your campus.
Exactly.
And so it's pros and cons to both sides of it, but I think the quality of service is definitely a huge one though.
Any other questions, comments?
Pretty good for your first barrage.
Okay, well, thank you. I asked Mayor Crawley to be gentle, so hopefully that was received.
We're always gentle. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, thank you so much for
Thank you.
your report. Questions or comments from council? Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the alternative plan for mowing and maintenance.
Second.
Have a motion from Councilman Massey, a second from Councilman Thomas. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Move now to item number 6C, and that'll be Ms. Alsabal for an action on authorizing 2024 year-end budget amendments. Ms.
Good
Alsabal?
evening. Yes,
Good
this
evening.
evening I present the fiscal year 24 year-end budget amendments and appropriations for your approval. This is the final step in closing out our fiscal year 2024. As you know, our fiscal year ends September 30th, and it typically takes a full month for the accounting team to reconcile funds and accounts and close everything out, which pushes this final step to November. So for the amendments showing in your packet, those are required for revenues that come in under budget by $50,000 or more, or for divisions that come in over budget on their expenses in total by $5,000 or more. So in addition to the amendments, you will be approving the appropriation of funds to the fiscal year 25 budget. These are funds that were budgeted in fiscal year 24 but not expensed prior to year end. So they will basically just be pushed over to the fiscal year 25 budget. These funds that are carried over, they were already built into the fiscal year 24 budget, so they don't have any impact or effect on days of reserve or ending cash balances. So now let's look at our general operating fund, the cash balance or cash position. We ended fiscal year 24 with $8.1 million, which is 64 days of reserve, and we anticipate ending fiscal year 25 with $8 million, which is 60 days of reserve. This 60 days is higher than previously anticipated due to some grant funds that we received, specifically the COPS grant, building permits being up, and EMS revenue coming in over budget. However, property tax and sales tax revenue did come in under budget as previously suspected. So for the utility fund, we ended fiscal year 24 with $3.7 million, which is 57 days of reserve, and we anticipate ending fiscal year 25 with $4 million, which is also 57 days of reserve. Even though fiscal year 25, just a reminder that even though fiscal year 25 has a higher ending cash balance, the days of reserves do not increase because your daily cost in fiscal year 25 is higher. So in other words, the dollars don't go as far, they don't stretch as far. So staff is requesting approval of these amendments and appropriations, and I am here to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from council?
I liked Fanchin's presentation better.
I need a video.
Any questions? If not, Ms. Alsabal, we appreciate you as always, and thanks for all your hard work
Thank you.
and dedication. Any other discussion from council? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the fiscal year 2024 year-end budget amendments and appropriations of necessary funds from fiscal year 2024 to fiscal year 2025.
Second.
Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Adams and a second by Councilman Thorne. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There is no need to have an executive session tonight, so we're going to give you the rest of your evening back to you all. I would like to say, as we look out in our audience, we are always appreciative of our great staff and everything that you all do to make our city a great city, and we sincerely appreciate you. There's no other business at 6:28, and this meeting is adjourned.